Welcome to May 27, 2013, Memorial Day in Richmond for Robert Dembowski Veterans Memorial Park. On our seating up front, please, if you would, yield your seats to any of our elderly and disabled, and would you escort them to a seat, especially our front row here. I don't think we have left anybody out. The Elwell and the Dembowski families are seated, so if you could, if you find an elderly person or someone with a cane, please escort them right up front. Our Master of Ceremonies today is Mr. Peter Palestina, and our non-commissioned officer in charge is Sergeant First Class John Colburn of the Pennsylvania Army National Guard. Sergeant Colburn, ask for the bugler.
Bugler, sound assembly. Color guard, post the colors. Bugler, sound to the colors.
Back up. If you get Frank and pass him out to me.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Pete Palestina, former Northampton supervisor, vice chairman of the Veterans Advisory Committee, and your Master of Ceremonies today. You know, no Patriot holiday is more significant and solemn than today, Memorial Day, when we gather here as a community to remember all those who never had the chance to become veterans, including our own Master Sergeant Ken Elwell and our own PFC Bob Dembowski Jr., for whom this memorial is named, as a symbol of all those who have paid the ultimate price so that we can enjoy the freedoms of this great nation. On behalf of the Northampton Township Supervisors, welcome to everyone, and now let us begin the program. Please remain standing for the National Anthem and Pledge of Allegiance. Catherine Travey will sing this.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last
And everyone please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Color. Color guard. Post.
Now I'd like to introduce the Chairman of the Board of Supervisors of Northampton Township, Dr. Kimberly Rose. Kim?
Welcome, neighbors, and thank you for coming here today. Memorial Day is a day of remembering the men and women who died while serving in the U.S. Armed Forces. From the first colonial soldiers who took up arms to fight for independence, some buried right here in Bucks County, to the war in Afghanistan, and the loss of our own Army PFC, Bobby Dembowski Jr., and Army Master Sergeant Ken Elwell. Let us remember that each hero who made the ultimate sacrifice of their life was a loved one, cherished and missed by family and friends. These brave soldiers died protecting their country and what it stood for: liberty, justice, freedom. They fought and died to preserve this land of hopes and dreams. On this Memorial Day, please take a moment to reflect on just what has been given and sacrificed so freely. Memorial Day is not about division. It's about reconciliation. It's about coming together to honor those who gave their all. God bless America.
And now for our invocation, I'd like to introduce Reverend Janice Paletti of St. John's United Methodist Church. Chaplain.
Good morning. Let us be in an attitude of prayer. Dear God, today we remember and we give thanks for those who served their country in its hour of need. May we never forget those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for the freedom we enjoy every single day. Lord, watch over our military men and women on American soil and on foreign soil this day. Hold them in your strong arms and shelter them and protect them as they stand ready, despite the dangers, to preserve the freedoms of our great nation. Grant them courage and wisdom to face each new day. We also remember the families of our troops. We ask that your blessings would fill their hearts and their homes. And we pray that your peace and your strength would fill their lives. We offer this prayer in your holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend. And now we're going to have the Dembowski family and the Elwell family come on up, and they'll be escorted by Marine Corps League Patriot Detachment Commander George Kelly for the wreath ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen. At this time, I'd like to call upon the eldest son of Fran Dembowski and older brother of Bobby Dembowski Jr., Frank Holberg, who would like to address the audience. Frank?
On behalf of the Dembowski and Elwell families, I'd like to thank everyone who dedicated their time and energy to make this ceremony so special. Memorial Day is a day of remembrance, a day to recall those who lost their lives defending our freedoms. For those of us who have suffered a loss, such as that, every day is Memorial Day. We look back every day and remember. I remember the day my hero Bobby was born. I remember watching him take his first steps. I remember cheering for him as he ran at third base and headed for home. I remember yelling at him for eating that last chocolate Edmonds donut. I remember his high school graduation and how excited he was the day he enlisted. I remember his crazy stories from basic training, and I always remember that last hug I gave my brother, trying not to cry as he headed off to work. As our heroes' lives ended so abruptly, so did our ability to make memories with them. But today, and every day we remember, and we hold those memories close to our hearts. I'd like to thank each and every one of you here this morning. Thank you for remembering my brother, PFC Robert Dembowski, and Master Sergeant Kenneth Elwell. Thank you for gathering as a community here at this corner to honor them and all the heroes who gave their lives in service to our country. Thank you.
I'd like everyone to render salute to both the Dembowski and the Elwell families. Thank you and your sons for your service. I'd like to introduce some honored guests, those that will not be speakers today. From Northampton Township, the Board of Supervisors, Dr. Kimberly Rose, Frank Rothamel, Jim Cunningham, George Komolowski, and Eileen Silver. And of course, a special thank you acknowledgement to the 82nd Airborne Division veterans. At this time, I'd like to introduce our Congressman, the Honorable Michael Fitzpatrick, to say a few words. Michael?
Thank you, Pete. Good morning. Richboro looks beautiful this morning, made all the more so by the faces of the citizens of Northampton Township who've come here to commemorate Memorial Day with the rest of the country. And Northampton Township is a township that doesn't forget, not just on Memorial Day, but one of the few townships, perhaps the only township in my district that I'm aware of, that remembers those who go off to serve and those who come back, and most especially perhaps the families, in beautiful ceremonies that I'm invited to on a regular basis by Pete right here at the Township Building. And I say that because last night I was with my sister in Upper Bucks County, and she's waiting for the return of her son from Afghanistan in a month or so. And that is a very, very tough job for being at home and waiting for the return of a son or daughter. So I want to thank everybody for being here. Northampton Township, like so many other towns in America, they say Memorial Day traces its beginnings back almost 150 years. It was a small town in upstate New York about 150 years ago where the women and the children of the town began decorating the graves of the Civil War deceased. And that's a tradition which for over 150 years has spread throughout the country. A couple of days ago, some of us gathered in the memorial courtyard of the Bucks County Courthouse to dedicate a monument, this monument for the global war on terror. And as I spoke there, I was in the shadow of the Civil War monument, built in the 1800s at our county seat. And on the other side of the courthouse was a monument for World War I. And behind me was the monument for World War II. And I spoke about the construction of that monument. And it was actually designed by a Bucks County, a central Bucks County, and a major general from World War II named Major General Hugh Foster. And when he designed the monument, if you go to the courthouse, it's just a very stark, very plain, larger-than-life Roman numeral 2. And when it was unveiled, a lot of folks just sort of looked at it, you know, in awe, not quite sure what to say. And he said, you know, you're probably wondering why it's a Roman numeral 2. And he said, because those of us who fought in that great war to end all wars, we hoped that there would never be a number 3. And of course, the price of freedom being very high in that courtyard is now also a monument to the Korean War, a monument to the Vietnam War, a monument to Desert Storm, and it will be a monument to the global war on terror, commemorating the lives of the 20 Bucks County citizens who gave everything that they had for our peace and freedom here back at home. General Washington, who spent a lot of time on Bucks County soil, once said that if you desire peace and freedom, you must at all times be prepared to defend it. And we're very fortunate in Bucks County because right back to the beginning of our country, right back to the Revolutionary War, there have been sons and daughters of Bucks County who have defended that freedom, and families who supported them. And they defended the freedom, and they participated in and defended and fought in many different ways. Some back home built the airplanes that others, like Captain Walter Sigafus of Richboro, who perished in the Vietnam War, helped to fly. Some fought and celebrated battles like Iwo Jima and Guadalcanal and Fallujah, and others died on battlefields, the names of which have long been forgotten. As I said earlier, some had the hardest job, which is to wait at home for the return of a son or a daughter or a spouse, praying that that knock on the door would never visit your home. And so we thank all of the families who've served, those who've served in uniforms and the families who supported them. And perhaps most importantly, on Memorial Day, we need to, as President Lincoln reminded us in the last paragraph of the Gettysburg Address, we dedicate ourselves to those principles that they fought so valiantly for and so glorious for. Never forget what they gave to us, and live up to the mission that they gave to us to keep this country free, not for ourselves, but for generations yet to be born, who deserve the same peace and freedom that they fought for. So thanks for inviting me. Pete, thanks for always remembering here in Northampton Township. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. I feel to acknowledge one more elected official here, and she's a person that really helped get this event together today and the park in order, and is an integral part of our Northampton Patriots flag program. And that's Council Rock School Board Director Bernadette Heenan. Bernadette, thank you. Now I'd like to introduce our guest speaker. Lieutenant David Jacoby is a part of the Navy Reserve Office of Naval Intelligence Unit 1201, operating out of Fort Dix, New Jersey. This unit has the proud distinction as one of the largest and most productive Navy Reserve units in the nation, a recent award recipient of the Meritorious Unit Commendation Decoration, as well as a regional nominee for the George O'Connell Outstanding Large Unit Award. Lieutenant Jacoby serves as a division officer and the unit public affairs officer for the unit, and he has recently been trained in Emergency Operations Center Watch, standing as well as one of the equal opportunity officers of the unit. Lieutenant Jacoby was commissioned into the Officer Corps after 5 years enlisted service. He entered the Navy in March of 2001, just prior to 9/11. And in 2009, Lieutenant Jacoby was mobilized to Operation Iraqi Freedom for 1 year to support the Command Joint Special Operations Task Force, Arabian Peninsula, where he worked direct support for Army Special Forces 5th and 10th Groups. He was a part of the mission transition of the June 30 transfer of power to the Iraqi Army and provided support for the first free elections in Iraq since the overthrow of Saddam Hussein. Upon demobilization, he was awarded the Joint Services Commendation Medal and returned to his home unit to receive a Joint Services Achievement Medal. Lieutenant Jacoby graduated from East Stroudsburg University in 1988 and has been a social studies teacher for the past 25 years. He began his teaching career in Council Rock Intermediate School, Richboro, during which time he received a master's degree equivalent in 1990. He then taught in Frankfurt Middle School for 4 years, a part of the Department of Defense public school system in Frankfurt, Germany, during which time he earned a Master of Education in 1991 from National Louis University. He returned to Council Rock in 1994 and has been teaching high school European and world history for the past 18 years. He currently serves as the Social Studies Department Coordinator at Council Rock High School South, is the advisor to the Political Science Club, and the school captain for the March of Dimes Council Rock South team. He currently resides in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Navy Lieutenant David Jacoby.
Friends, fellow soldiers, sailors, distinguished guests, Honorable Fitzpatrick, loved ones of men and women who have died in service to their country, and family of our military who have perished since their service in this great nation of ours. Today we honor the true American heroes. We honor the brave men and women who have been cut down in the prime of their lives. They died that we may live. They know more than anyone the concept of honor, loyalty, bravery, and sacrifice. You know, I drive past this park every day on my way to Council Rock South, the Robert Dembowski Memorial Park. Every time I do, I look into this lovely space, and I often say hi to Bob Dembowski and Ken Elwell, sometimes audibly. Sometimes I greet all of our hometown heroes. Bob and Ken, they are my brothers. I never knew them personally, but to me, they are forever my brothers and my heroes. And they deserve our attention, not just today, but every chance we get. And so do their families. Gold Star families, I salute you. Every man and woman who ever wore the uniform of one of the United States services know well the greatest honor we have is to honor the fallen brethren. No higher honor. That is why today, we stand a little taller, prouder, and with a look in our eyes no one but each other will ever understand. Bob and Ken volunteered knowing the dangers. We all did. Bob and Ken likely never thought this would ever happen to them. They were well trained like mad. They were experts. They were taught to be the best of the best. Safety first. Beware of the enemy. Come home alive. We all heard it. The heroes we honor today did something amazing. They took the bullet for us. Seriously, as if they dove in front of a bullet. They could have pierced the heart of the American dream. They dove, they took it, they died for us. They volunteered, they shipped out to the Iraqi and Afghani battlefields. They lived in hell and they died over there that we might live back here. They sacrificed their lives on what President Lincoln once called the altar of freedom. It's true. They laid down their lives that we might live, and for that I will personally be eternally grateful. For that, we all kind of have a responsibility to live. We have to live, and live we shall. They perished that we might enjoy the freedoms, the beauty, the gift that we call the American dream. They gave it to us. They gave it to me, and they gave it to you. With a tear in my eye, I accept that gift, and like Private Ryan, who desperately asked for his wife, if he was a good man and he led a good life, we must live a good life. To be the best we can be, to be better than yesterday, and still better tomorrow. As the blood red in the sunrise takes our breath away, we need to remember that it's in that sunrise that Bob and Ken and all the others live, screaming to us to be great, to be good, to be American, and to live the American dream. So what does that mean, this elusive, suggestive, enigmatic American dream? Can it be defined? Can we really live it? I think it means that none of us can take a day for granted. We have to live in such a way that they would be proud of us. We have to live up to the standard they set high for us. My dad was a sailor. He was on a great ship in the Korean War, and his brothers and father served too in World War I and World War II and Korea. They made it home. And the way they lived is what I think Bob and Ken would want from us. Live free, live proud, live in service to each other, and live to protect the innocent. Fight the good fight. Defeat the bullies and the dictators and the terrorists. Be authentically proud when you see the U.S. flag. Stand tall. Place your hand on your heart every time you hear the Star-Spangled Banner or recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Demand excellence. Pay attention to detail. Do it right, then do it again. That is what they taught our men in boot camp. This is a minimum of what we need to do to live up to their standards. On days like today, I have flashbacks to Iraq. I remember well standing in formation on the dry sands and the rocks on our base in Balad, Iraq, ready for the start of a memorial service of yet another fallen comrade, as we faced the facade of the helmet mounted on the muzzled-down rifle and boots, representing a soldier who died before us. We remained silent. Silence. No crickets. No birds. No sound at all. Nothing but the rush of a warm breeze in our thoughts. Speeches would be made. Accolades would be made for us. Accolades would be made and read. Not many of us really knew much about this man before us who we were honoring. We just knew we lost a brother, and standing shoulder to shoulder with these tall, rock-hard men, I felt humbled. Taps would be played, and another sound broke. Another sound broke the silence. Men were crying. Unashamed, they let the tears flow down their cheeks and splashing onto the dry rocks. Unashamed, almost proud, they cried. They cried as some of us already have cried today. I cried, and I resolved. I swore I'd be great. I swore that the rest of my deployment, that man would be proud of my work. And today I declare that the men and women we honor today must be proud of our work. We owe it to them. We owe it to their memory and their sacrifice. I never knew these men we honor today. I never knew them personally, but they'll always be my brothers. I love them, I honor them, and I hope that from this day forth we can choose to live the dream they handed to us on that altar of freedom. This past Friday, I was present at the dedication of the Bucks County Global War on Terrorism Memorial in Doylestown. The soon-to-be permanent structure to honor the banners that hang around the memorial garden next to the courthouse. It'll be quite a sight when it's finished. We all stood there in the pouring rain. As we stood there in the pouring rain, we were reminded of the tears that have been shed for our fallen. Since the founding of our great nation just 227 years ago, more than 50 million brave American souls have fought to preserve our freedoms, and 1.3 million paid the ultimate sacrifice. That's a hell of a lot of tears. And as the rain fell and fell and fell, rolling down the tarp over us and down onto the ground, I could visualize the tears rolling down the cheeks of the moms and dads, of wives and husbands and sisters and brothers and sons and daughters. The rain kept falling through the entire ceremony, just as the tears for our heroes do today. The tears never really stop. We cry today for the lives cut short, lives of great men and women who should never have perished. I think of that when it rains. I heard a mom saying to her son the other day as it was raining, I heard him ask her, "Mom, why is it raining so hard?" "It's because God is crying, honey." "Why is he crying, Mom?" She looked at him and shook her head and said, "Probably because of something you did." Joking aside, the tears of God fall a lot. We're allowed to cry today. It's okay. Let the tears fall. Like the rain on Friday, let the tears fall. Like the men I stood with in Iraq, let the tears fall. Like the families of Ken and Bobby, let the tears fall. That Global War on Terrorism Memorial in Doylestown, by the way, is being dedicated on faith, with only a portion of the money needed to complete the project. The VFW post in Doylestown is trusting us to remember these Bucks County heroes, Bob and Ken among them. We stand on our own hometown, today we're standing on our own hometown memorial. This ground is sacred ground. President Lincoln talked about dedication of a portion of the battlefield of Gettysburg already consecrated with the blood of heroes. In a similar fashion, this land is consecrated with the memory we hold of those special to us who have been struck down in the line of duty. We live in an all-volunteer force today, one in which the men and women in uniform understand the mortal risks, yet they volunteer to don the uniform anyway. These men and women heard the call from our nation, "Whom shall I send? Who will go for us?" It's been answered by a million of our bravest. Here I am. Send me. Bob and Ken and so many others, thousands in this recent conflict, millions over time, they volunteered and some fell. I have heard that some of our Gold Star moms sometimes wake up in a panic, fear stinging like lemon juice on a paper cut. Oh my gosh, what if my son is forgotten? What if his sacrifice is forgotten? I resolve for all of us today, to the Gold Star moms, listen, that will never happen. Not on my watch, not as long as I have air in my lungs. These fine men and women will not only be remembered, they will be honored, they will be loved. They will forever be immortalized in parks like this across our great nation. Today is their day. It's not barbecue day, it's not parade day, it's Memorial Day. I remember. We remember. God bless them and their loyalty, their honor, their courage, and their commitment that have made it possible for us to live on, for us to find the American dream and live the American dream. Thank you, and God bless the Gold Star families, and God bless the United States of America.
Thank you, Lieutenant Jacoby. And now I'd like to recall Reverend Janice Politi for the benediction.
I invite you to hear this verse from Scripture. There is no greater love than this, to lay down one's life for his or her friends. Today we give honor and respect to the men and women who have laid down their lives for us and for our children and for our children's children. May we go forth today determined that their sacrifice will have meaning, because we will continue to fight for the peace and the justice that they held so dear in their hearts. May our military brothers and sisters feel our love and our support today, and may the peace of God, which passes all understanding, be with all of us today and forever. Amen.
I'd like to ask for everyone's silence for the rifle salute and a reminder that there will be sudden noise from the volleys thrown or shot.
Detachment Commander, render military honor. Aye, aye.
I'd like to call everyone for a moment of silence for all those that serve this country. That will conclude the program. I'd like to give special thanks to Neil Cohen Productions and Big Heads Pub, Richboro and Holland for the sound equipment, the Patriot Guard Riders from Pennsylvania Region 6, 82nd Airborne Division Association, our bagpipers, Robert Grover and Paul Carney, Senior and Junior, Bugler Kathleen McCall, non-commissioned officer in charge, Sergeant First Class John Colburn, Patriot Detachment 1230 Marine Corps League, Fireside Flowers, bottled water, compliments of Richboro Shop and Bag. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for remembering all those who served and paid the ultimate price. And enjoy the rest of your Memorial Holiday. Thank you.